There have been layoffs at Atlantic Music Group.
20 artists were dropped from their label in the last 2 days.
Interesting, because labels typically don't drop artists. What they do is they shelve artists. So we've been a little bit ahead of the curve on just this is the thing, this is the trend, this is what you need to do to make money. And now the major labels are picking up on it and doing the same thing. Hey, what's good, fam? Welcome back. I'm Top Music Attorney, and today I'm giving you a real lawyer's reaction to Curtis King, the real reason Atlantic dropped 50 artists. We haven't checked in with our friend Curtis King in a hot minute, so let's see what Curtis has to say on this. Now, I will preface by saying I've been in the music business since I was 4. I've been a lawyer for over 10 years. I run a law firm. I'm an independent artist. What else have I not said? I don't know, but let's jump right into it.
There have been layoffs at Atlantic Music Group.
20 artists were dropped from their label in the last 2 days.
Since the Diddy indictment, a lot of people been quitting.
A lot of people spent money on products, assets, and artists that were all being backed by fake streams all this time.
These labels are going to go from being the homes of artists, they're now going to turn into the new DistroKids and TuneCores.
DIY.
Not
DIYers, there is a change that is going underway in the music industry as we speak. Maybe even by the time this video drops, more madness. I'm sure more madness has happened.
I like his shirt. What does it say? DIYer. I'm with Curtis on this all day long. I do this for my own music career, which is, guys, you got to go direct to your fans. You got to sell. You got to think like a record label. I don't know if he's going to cover any of that in this video, but let's see.
There have been layoffs at Atlantic Music Group. Atlantic Music Group is the home of some of the biggest artists, specifically in mainstream rap. And the story goes here. This is on the Variety as an article. It says, as expected in the wake of the impending departure of top Atlantic Music Group executive Julie Greenwald and Kevin Liles, a large wave of layoffs have begun at the storied company as it begins what Warner Music CEO Robert Kennel describes as a new dynamic structure for the label group. Let's cut through the bullshit. Since the Diddy indictment, a lot of people been quitting. A lot of folks been quitting. Why they been quitting, Curtis? A part of me feels like maybe their name might get brought up in this case. Matter of fact, as of the recording of this, I didn't really look into it, but it says that Diddy does want to testify. On whom, you may ask? Who the hell knows? I don't know which one of you freaky deakies like baby oil. Spike baby oil at that, allegedly. But a lot of folks is dropping off left and right, and don't let the timing fool you. This is not just about redoing the dynamic structure of the label groups. Stop the cap.
So it's funny because I actually run a law firm. I don't have as much time to do live streaming when there are these cases that are being broadcast live, because I've done this one time before. I think it was the Johnny Depp. Yeah, it was the Johnny Depp trial. And so I did a couple of days where I was giving live commentary, which was so fun. And look, I haven't dipped a toe into the P. Diddy mess because I am actively trying to focus more on music business education for you guys. I don't know. But if there was a trial, I might have to cover that. I don't know.
Rep for the company declined comment, but sources tell Variety the number of people affected is around 170. And that the move is also a consolidation. Oh, we just consolidate. It's a consolidation. Don't worry. Known to be leaving Atlantic are GM executive Paul Sinclair, president of Black Music Michael Kaiser, a longtime head of publicity EVP Sheila Richmond, marketing EVP Grace James, and touring SVP Harlan Frey, among others.
Yeah, or is this that we see all the time that labels are folding, especially with imprints, right? We see that the little guys are just, for the last decade, they can't keep up. And I think it's because there's so much knowledge and a surgence of independents who are taking control and just starting their own labels. So what I can tell you, being an actual practitioner, dealing with these major labels, is that there's a whole lot of reasons why people are quitting.
So I don't know if it reports it here, but the execs and the people in these positions weren't the only ones that got dropped. They say 50 artists also got dropped too at Atlantic.
Jesus Christ.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
The hell is going on? I'm sorry for screaming in your head. Did I call this around last year? Didn't I tell you? It's so unfortunate how when a rapper dies, the people in these power positions that push this propaganda, that push this toxic and reckless content, the ones that encourage these artists, as Meek Mill said at one point in time, to talk about these things, they never get touched. Their job is secure. The rapper passes away, they got an entire rollout plan now, from the streaming boost that they're going to get to the actual BET live funeral they're going to have up there, right? They have a rollout ready of how to maximize profits in that period of time. But I just always had the question. I'm like, damn, it's so crazy. These rappers can't go outside, and it's partly their fault because of things they talk about, but they can't go outside because of how great the marketing is at these major labels. Because when they go outside, they're a walking test dummy. People are looking at them and saying, oh, that's the one that just said that he got ops. Oh, I think I'm a bigger gangster than him. Let me go holler at him. Oh, he got a whole lot of money. I was on Instagram with the money phone. Those are the kind of people that the folks at the labels will push, the imagery that they'll push, not the people, the imagery that they'll push. And them folks get to go to Trader Joe's and eat whatever Sprout sandwiches they like.
Well, the one thing that I will say that I've seen with my clients for many, many years doing this is that when you are signed with a label, right? Most people are like, I want to get signed with a label because if I get signed with a label, the label's going to do all the legwork and all the stuff that I don't know how to do. I don't know how to market myself. I don't really know about music distribution. I can't network. I can't get my music on radio. And so hopefully the label knows how to do this. And in a best case scenario, you sign with a label and the label does help. But what happens when that deal is done? He's going to get into this, but if you have a label dropping 50 artists, that's really interesting because labels typically don't drop artists. What they do is they shelve artists. So they go, hey, we did a deal. You owe us so many albums. We're not necessarily going to release those albums. We're not moving on. So we're basically going to do nothing. You are shelved. So that's more common for especially a major labels to shelve artists and do nothing versus to let them out of their contract. A Music Attorney is your #1 legal resource for artists, producers, and record labels. Get contract templates, one-on-one legal advice, free master classes, and everything you need for your music business. Go to topmusicattorney.com.
There's a few different theories that are popping up about why all of this shit is starting to happen. This one here is by Flossie the Boss. He is a media mogul and record label exec. Here he theorizes, or he talks about his experience and what he believes is happening right now with not just Atlantic Records, because remember Universal went through this as well. What is happening with these labels?
On with the major labels. There's been massive staff cuts from the major labels like Warner and Atlantic Records. The major labels are shrinking. In fact, they're merging together. Island merged with Mercury, Interscope with Capitol. The labels aren't making the kind of money that they used to. So when we see these companies laying off their staff, the next wave of cuts usually comes from the artists. And that's what happened the other day. 20 artists were dropped from their label in the last 2 days. Why would they drop their artists? It's simple. Labels chase trends. When they see a song blow up, they sign the artist and ride the success of that song. Eventually, the hype of that song dies out, and they wait for the artist to build up another song and make that hot, and they ride the success of that song.
Okay, so I didn't necessarily agree with the first part, right, in regards to labels just dropping artists because maybe it's to save money, because if they just shelve the artist, they do nothing, and then they save money, right? But the second piece, in regards to labels seeing that a song has gone stupid viral, right? That's happened. And I've had clients who then we do the deals with the labels because they come in and they go, I want to do a deal for that song because we're now going to repackage the song. We're going to throw one of our label artists on it. It's a collab now and we have market proof that it's going to do well. And so they release the song and there may or may not be options for more music from the artist that we signed. So that is true.
So wait. Hold on. All those folks who were chasing trends on TikTok and were just trying to be the next song that went off, and they had no desire to actually pick up an instrument or had any desire to be a top-tier lyricist or had any desire to be a top-tier songwriter, the ones that were just trying to run up a bag, you mean to tell me that letting them lead the charge is unwise and it's not making money?
Somebody's gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Never would have guessed it.
Curtis, this is so cool. What do you say? Running up a bag. I have a deposition tomorrow. I need to think of a way to incorporate that into one of my questions about, have you, sir, run up a bag? You're just too cool, Curtis.
That artist has to invest in themselves because the labels just aren't going to do the work. And a bunch of those artists learned that lesson the other day when they got dropped. The truth is, the major label structure is rapidly changing. They're moving to an artist service and distribution model. In the next year, we'll see every major label offering distribution similar to DistroKid and TuneCore.
Oh, shit. Did you hear what he just said? I can't rewind it, but did you hear what he just said? These labels are going to go from being the homes of artists. They're now going to turn into the new DistroKids and TuneCores. Why is that funny? Because we've covered videos in the past where a DistroKid was getting the receiving end of attacks from artists. And I'm not saying this in defense because nobody was being clear. But remember when songs were getting taken down off of Spotify and then Spotify said, no, that was DistroKid. DistroKid did that. That wasn't us, man. We stand on business. And then DistroKid said, we the little dogs. They did that. Remember when all that was going on? Now you see the play. put them in a negative light. And not just them, but a TuneCore too. And these companies have done shit themselves. Let's not even get it twisted. There's no honor amongst thieves. But I think it's really interesting how there's this push for us to be like, man, forget them. Let's go direct to consumer. And then who comes back and says, oh, you want to go direct to consumer? You want to make some real money? Man, come to Atlantic Records. Sorry. Atlantic Distribution.
Okay, and I can tell you the piece of that is absolutely correct on what's already happening is that major labels are in fact doing the direct to consumer, the direct to fan model because they're seeing that is what major label artists are doing and what works. So they're already adapting this. We've been a little bit ahead of the curve on just this is the thing, this is the trend, this is what you need to do to make money. And now the major labels are picking up on it and doing the same thing. We'll see what he says as far as the distribution piece. I disagree with this. There are labels who absolutely do distribution, right? We have ADA, we talked about this recently. They did a deal with Kesha to start her label and now they're distributing for her. The way record labels are running up their bags is that they are suing other companies that have money to pay for copyright infringement claims. So for example, we covered the Udio Suno lawsuit. So you have the major record labels suing AI companies in the hundreds of millions of dollars. You also have a 600 million plus lawsuit by, again, the major record labels against Internet Archive, aka Wayback Machine. So like, not to say that labels are opposed to distribution, but I think what they know is that just licensing music and taking a portion of it is not quite as valuable as taking ownership of catalog, selling it, enforcing it. I'm just saying. I don't know that record labels are opposed to doing distribution, but I do know that they are still wanting to take ownership of music catalogs, to sell it, to enforce it, and just sharing profits for distribution with artists is not necessarily the best business plan for labels.
6 of the last 10 Hot 100 artists were independent. These majors are trying to lock down the independents without spending any money, and they're doing it through distribution. So just remember, the goal should not be getting signed to a label. There's no future in that model anymore. Just ask those 20 artists that got dropped the other day.
Crazy.
Focus on making great music and building your fan base. If you need distribution for your label...
No, we stop there. All right, so he's not the only one that's theorizing. This one I tend to put a lot more value in because if y'all think I'm not so Raven, because of my predictions, Lloyd Lang here from Reggaeology here on Instagram has been spot on as well. It's a lot of things he predicted, and he predicted this once you started seeing the layoffs. Here's where he says in the actual caption before we get to the video. He says, we discussed the fallout in the major label ecosystem where CEOs, A&Rs, artists, and sub-labels are all losing their heads. This is due to DSPs clamping down on bad farming and fake streaming, which has impacted not just the small players, but also the big labels. The industry has been taken over by hedge funds and financiers who don't understand the music industry, and now the paper expectations are not being realized. Because you got the number of peoples in there who like, what the hell has y'all been doing in this music industry? This ain't making no chili. Leading to a lot of money and resources being spent on assets and artists backed by fake streams. This realization has led to a bloodbath in the industry.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Lloyd Lang.
This conversation this week is a fallout in the major label ecosystem. And I mean, everybody from CEOs to A&Rs to artists to sub-labels are losing them heads, and everybody running around like a chicken without one, wondering why. But let me explain to you. You see, in the first quarter this year, the DSPs decided to clamp down on bad farming and fake streaming, and that did not just go for the small guys, the independents, the middleman, but it also went for the big wigs as well. But you see, in an industry that has been taken over by hedge funds and financiers and people who don't know nothing about the undercurrent of the music industry, everything looks good on paper until you need to collect the paper. And when that time came around in the second half of 2024, a lot of the paper expectations did not realize themselves. So
Can you think about, I'm not trying to make any kind of sympathy for the investors or the financiers, but can you imagine sitting there across from somebody that's a big wig or a big exec in the music industry, and you're like, I see that things are going really bad in the music industry right now. I mean, that's kind of exaggerated. We're good. No, it's going bad. But I see that you are making money here, right? It's good. You guys are doing good streams. There's a lot of traffic. Yeah. Can you show me some of the numbers? Sure. What's wrong? You look a little nervous. Okay, so we be faking. What do you mean you be faking? We be faking streams. Because what happens is, okay, all right, follow me, financier. What we do is, okay, we put fake streams, right? And that makes real streams, right?
You can't really tell the difference between which is which.
Because together, and like, okay, so why we do that, I don't know. but we do that because it's been working. Okay, we don't really have a plan. That's why we got y'all. That's why we need financiers and investors.
All right, so as someone who actually sells music catalogs, and I'll be part of different, company ventures, there absolutely are hedge funds, financiers, private equity firms that do this because music catalogs are considered more stable than oil and gold. If you have hit songs, people will love those hit songs for a really long time. Those hit songs will continue to make money, so you need to make sure that you have the right people in place to go and monetize the music. Right? So really these private equity groups, for example, they're just the money people. The idea is that you need to have people on the ground floor who actually know how to best exploit the work, right? So, sync licensing, TV film, games. And I think for everyone, just saying, hey, streaming isn't quite doing as well. And also if there's any kind of fake streaming that's happening, that goes into the mix. But I think this is the same problem that everyone is having in how do we best make money. And it's not just about the music anymore, right? It's about brand. It's about strategy and diversifying. And not just having the music on Spotify.
And now that realization has come to punch, blood going flow until water find level. It's Leng. I'm out.
You ain't never lied.
Somebody gonna have to tell
Are y'all
us
asking what a
about
fake stream is? Do you forget the video we did? I gotta react to a reaction of a reaction of a reaction. Don't be bringing in your birthday part. Let me bring me a birthday gift on my birthday gift on my birthday gift.
So you just gonna bring me a birthday gift on my birthday to my birthday party on my birthday with a birthday gift?
Happy birthday.
Do you forget about this video already? I know that you've been hit with so much content that sometimes you may forget about some of the things we do. But we've been covering this. Remember this video? So Russ sat down on his podcast and he spoke about the way that labels leverage fake streams. Bots. The same thing that they out here suing other people for? Fake streams to get real money.
Let's say your song has 500 million streams, right? Organically. But let's say with fake streams, now you're at 900 million. No one's gonna sit there and be like, this is more like a 500 million stream song.
Yeah. Hey, Santa Claus ain't real.
Somebody gonna have to tell us.
This was 7 months ago, by the way. Oh, man. Do you understand why we call ourselves DIYers?
DIY.
Because your guess is just as good as these idiots. So they're fudging the numbers to make it seem as realistic as possible, yet they're fudging it by the hundreds and hundreds of millions. Now, this is just a random example. I imagine that they have found ways to get to this number of what's the magic number before people start asking questions. And you have to imagine there's been a lot of artists along the way who have been the sacrificial lambs of what never to do again. Okay, DIY. So here's my final thoughts. The party is dying.
All right, real quick. Sorry to get you off. So I think what we're saying here is that this shift that we've been talking about, that we've been anticipating, is now happening at scale with the major labels. Now, are major labels, again, going to distribution? No. But what I can say is that they, in some instances, are being willing to do distribution over the standard record label agreement where the artist gives ownership of the music, and it's because and when the artist has negotiating power. I can't stress this enough to you guys. I'm like, don't do a deal until you have something to put on the table to negotiate with. Because if you go in, you go, hey, record label, make me a big star. Record label goes, okay, give me everything. If you come in and say, hey, I got something that you want, and here's what I want, and I want to just do distribution, the labels has a tendency to bend to your will a little bit easier. Or more accurately, to bend to my will. But it's easier to do it when you give me negotiation points.
The party is dying, but that's why I released a freestyle over that beat called Watch the Party DIY. You hear me?
DIY.
Yeah, watch the party DIY. But DIYers, be careful, because these streets is finna get a little bit more treacherous. You finna see some new platforms pop up that are gonna show themselves. I told you the sharks were in the water. I told you when all these layoffs happen, be careful of these new businesses that are gonna pop up trying to show themselves as direct to consumer. How you gonna present yourself as direct to consumer when I can go direct to consumer? What's more direct to consumer than me going direct to consumer? I'm looking at every one of you platforms promising direct to, how the hell you gonna make me more direct to consumer than me being direct to consumer? I'm looking at all these platforms. These platforms many times are ran by people who are part of that other bastardization of hip hop industry. They're the ones who were saying, yes, sir, boss, to all that bullshit they was doing at the major labels. Now they're in charge of their own companies. No leadership. They're just following the old model, but trying to modernize it and update it in ways they couldn't get approval for before. That's where we're at now. It's your choice of whether or not you want to trust these platforms as you move forward. I'm on one right now that I got a bunch of questions for in Bandcamp. But at least I know that if anything ever happens to my Bandcamp, I have a website. And everybody can start buying music from my website. Just thinking, the deeper I've gotten into this direct-to-consumer, it's almost been a year since I've been doing this, right? Exclusively direct-to-consumer. The more that I do it, even with my last project, I put out a Beige EP with Iman Omari. I put that out on streaming and I regret it. That was a misstep because I saw it immediately impact my direct-to-consumer numbers when people could stream it.
And you gotta know your numbers if you're gonna do a play like this, because here's the thing, like I have a song I'm working on that's gonna come out and I'm putting it on streaming platforms. However, when my full album drops, I'm gonna do a direct-to-fan push. A big piece of this is that I just want to do something special for my actual fans. And I want to give them an opportunity to get something that is tangible, that I can sign, that I can bless. But I also see the value of diversifying access to the music and making sure that if someone wants to hear my music, they can hear it on Spotify. But I think it comes with the business plan. Now, to Curtis's point, he goes, look, I am keeping track of the numbers. I see what makes sense for me, and my fans are willing to go this kind of path. So that's what I'm going to do. Perfect. Have a plan. And even if you try a plan, and Curtis said this when we did an interview together, and he's like, I don't know if at some point, maybe I will put some of my music back on streaming, but what I know is what works for me right now, and what works for me right now is direct to fans, utilizing my own website, using Bandcamp. It's hard to argue with that.
It's almost like I weeded people off of the drugs, and I was able to make a living through selling my music just to have them get the drugs again. And of course, it's where they're at. And I understand the comfort. I understand the convenience, but we're trying to build a movement. We are building a movement. And you know what's happening? Now the big dogs are starting to readjust to said movement. They're trying to position themselves because they know the money is there. It is very easy numbers. Let's say I'll get 1 million streams on Spotify, huh?
Guys, I need you right now, drop a comment down below. Do you feel this sense of like you are a part of a community? You feel like you are a part of this movement, right? For DIY, direct to fans? Because I really am curious about this. I go, I don't know. Maybe we need to say this in the vacuum of each person and each project, which is how most of us operate. We don't have a union. We don't have usually groups that we're in where we're talking amongst each other and supporting each other. And I think that's a huge missing piece. It's something that I am trying to assist with this YouTube channel. But it's more of, do you feel like you have permission? I think people wait to get permission to see that other people are doing something before they will go and take a chance on something, which is why I appreciate what Curtis does. So anyway, the headline is, drop a comment down below and just let me know, are you going direct to fans? And if you are, how are you doing this? Is it through your website? Is it through Bandcamp? Do you send Owl Courier USB sticks to your fans? Let me know.
What that gonna get me? $3,400. Or I could sell 100 copies times $30 for an autographed copy and make $3,000. 100 versus 1 million. It was right there in front of us the whole time. But we were afraid. I was afraid. I get the hesitation. I get that people are so addicted to streaming. I get it. We're in that crazy time period. But you know what? It calls for crazy people like us out here. So don't be the last one. Watch this video and please make some plans about what to do next, because they are already plotting on you. They're getting rid of their staffs. They are utilizing AI to the best of their ability to replace these positions they were paying for. They got to pay AI for nothing. And now they're trying to get in here and compete with the distro kids. Why? Because the distro kids of the world were making money. They said there's no money in making music. Then why do these folks get $19 every time you sign up annually? There's no money in making music. Then why TuneCore hit me over the head for $60 a year for one particular song or release? They making money. Oh, there's no money in selling music. And there are people who are in position that want you. They're going to do everything in their power to make you fearful of the idea of selling music.
Well, and let's think of it in a different framework, which is just, if you have other businesses that have learned ways to exploit a certain business arena, in this case, it's music and musicians and music producers, because they need help. And so they go, hey, I need to get my music on music platforms. And so a music distributor says, okie dokie, pay me a fee to do that. Record labels are really good at this. It's figuring out, how do we monetize beyond just the music? And that's why I've said it's about learning how to think like record labels. And that is the tool that is going to get you to where you need to go, because now you're going to think not just where do I put my music, but it's how can I actually make money from what I'm doing? Can I print 100 CDs? Can I move 100 CDs? And I'm telling you, you can.
And the reality of it is you don't need a lot of people. You just need the right people.
That's right.
Direct to consumer. If you cannot see the
go,
writing on
let's
the wall,
go.
these folks left and right are being dropped off. I think a lot of it does have to do with what's going on with Diddy, but that's their freaky ass business. Baby oil aside, I do think it is a slick time, see what I did there, to go direct to consumer, DIYers.
And I don't think it's too late for you. I don't think you're going to be left behind. I think that, especially because, you know, for those of you who were late to TikTok and then you're like, oh, what's the point now? Because TikTok's just going to go away, right? The government's going to ban it. So there's always just excuses of why not to start. And I'm saying, wherever you're at right now, it's time to think about it, okay? Because who doesn't want to make more money? Who doesn't want to build the connection with their fans and just make something meaningful? So I think of it in a teensy-weensy little bit more of a positive light. So I think that the jump here is that you don't necessarily need to abandon DSPs, digital service providers, but I think that you do need to consider who are your current fans. How do you talk to your fans? Do you have an email list? How often do you post? And if you don't know the answers to these questions, that's the thing that you need to do right now, which is take out a pen and pad, figure out those numbers, and figure out what you need to do next. You guys know I'm all about music business education. If you want to do a deep dive, I have the music business training. It's how to become your own record label, which is more about, again, the framework of you need to think like a record label, but that means you need to get your legal stuff in order. I help you with that. You need to learn about music marketing, music monetization. And then once you go through a basic training to get yourself in a place where you have a game plan now, that would be a great time to reach out to me and I'd be happy to help you. Oops. I'll see you on the next one. I'm Top Music Attorney.